Chair, I think what the email suggests that there were three different EOH entities, and this 2 million was the amount that was the amount EOH managed services. PTY Limited. If we turn the page to the next document, 618, you will see a similar letter also sent to Patrick Macabedu, email to Jeff McCoo, asking him to sign, and this one refers to on behalf of the African National Congress. We would like to acknowledge that EOH managed services PTY Limited for the donation of 3 million rand from 2018-2014. Got a similar confirmation on the use.
Can I just stop you there? Do you record on 16 April 2014?
I think we referred earlier to that there was a request.
Wasn't it missing unsolicited proposal?
Sorry. You're right. Unsolicited proposal. It was dated exactly. That is correct.
And the last letter.
Thank you, Chair. The last letter is this one letter again sent by board attention by Kubedu, for his own attention, TSS managed services, and this one says on behalf of the African National Congress International, we would like to acknowledge TSS managed services PTY Limited donation of 151,051 on November 2013.
Then can I ask you to go down to 626?
Did you say 626?
That's correct, Chair. That's correct, Chair.
This is a letter from Patrick Macabedu to Renee Yonker. Renee Yonker was a financial TS manager. We will refer to earlier. It's dated 11 September 2014, and it's forwarded attachments, and the narration is the AFC letters as promised.
And can you then take the chat please, which follows from page 269 is to the draft letters that are sent by Patrick Macabedu to Mr. Makubus. They are now ANC letterhead, African National Congress, Johannesburg region of the National Treasurer, regional treasury, and its attention to Patrick EOH managed services, dated 19 June 2014, and it's exactly the letter that was sent by Makubedu, Jeff McCoo, signed by Janet, Jeffy's title as regional treasurer, cell number below, and then a similar letter is 628. This is again on the National Congress region, Johannesburg of the regional treasurer, letterhead to Mr. Macabedu, dated 19 June 2014, and this one is thank EOH managed services for the donation of PTY Limited for the donation of 3 million on 2014, similar narration on utilization of the funds, and then the last one is third in the series email by Macabedu to Mr. Makuba. This one is the African National Congress letterhead dated 19 June. Macabedu donation acceptance, and this is to acknowledge EOH managed services. PS PTY Limited for the donation of 2 million on December 2013. Thank you, Chair. The date on that email was 11. I now take you to a document, 782.
Chair, the document, page 782, is what appears to be a purchase order from the City of Johannesburg. And it is addressed to TSS Managed Services Pty Limited, and the reference is comes from supply chain management at City of Cape Town, the framework order.
Mr. Powell, we're going to get you used to being in Johannesburg.
Did I say Cape Town? Sorry.
He likes
Chair, I have sorted out a lot of Cape Town, the City of Cape Town too.
Yeah, come from the City of Johannesburg.
Certainly. So the terms of payment, the COJ pay immediately without deduction, and it refers to the item material and the active unit, and then there's a series of refers to ICT infrastructure, network structure, WAN/LAN, and the amount is 96,270,763 and the total figure with that 109,197,272 signed by the City of Johannesburg.
Can I then take you to page 339, which is a document 3 days later, 15 September.
Before we there, can maybe the document you have will enlighten me. This figure is connected with the proposal or something else that we have not really.
Mr. Park, can you answer that question?
But if you can't remember, it's fine.
Similar to Olawane, and that number is reflected on the document in the amount of 70,000 Rand, and payment date is reflected as 15 September 2014.
And just once again, because I don't keep track of all of these entities, Prime Molecular is which entity?
That is the entity which reflects Patrick Makubedu as the principal chair.
Can I then take you to another document dated 15 September? It appears at page 783.
Mr. Chair, it would be nice to be as proficient as Mr. Jaskelson, having it all electronically. It's you and I have to page through the binders.
Yes.
Chair, this is an email from Patrick Makubedu sent to Jeff Makubo on 15 September 2014, and the subject is COJ Upgrade Award DocX. Attachment COJ Upgrade Award Doc, and then it's got a ATT 00001 reference, and attached to that on the very next page is a draft letter coming from Mr. Makubedu, and it's addressed, this draft is addressed to TSS Managed Services. So what we must remember is Makubedu is sending this to Makubo
To say, do a
here
letter, sign a letter along these lines on your letterheads.
correct,
Okay.
Chair. And that's why this whole thing is very, very irregular. And it's dated 22 May 2014.
Sorry, can I just clarify? The attachment is dated 22 May
Correct.
2014. The email was sent?
The email was sent on The September 15th, 2014, Chair. So the email is September, it's backdating the award, Chair.
And maybe you can read that,
Yes.
that email, that attachment.
Certainly. So this goes to TSS Managed Services. Attention, Mr. P. Makubedu, 22 May 2014. Dear Mr. Makubedu, upgrading of the City of Johannesburg network and security infrastructure. We refer to your proposal dated 16 March 2014, submitted in response to the above-mentioned RFP. We have pleasure in advising you that after careful consideration of the proposals received and the evaluation thereof, your proposal has been successful and you have been nominated as the preferred supplier for the upgrading of the City of Johannesburg network and security infrastructure. Your participation in this tender process is highly appreciated. Yours faithfully, and it leaves a space for the signatory to sign. Chair, you will recall this was an unsolicited bid. There was no tender, and it refers to an RFP at the top line. An RFP is a request for proposal. There was no request for proposal, and there certainly wasn't a tender. Chair, and I think it's just bizarre that Makubedu should be sending this to Mr. Makubo for him to sign and send back to himself.
Now, the other letters that you referred to a few minutes ago, there were 3 of them, I think.
Correct.
Which Mr. Makubedu sent to Mr. Makubu, were sent to Mr. Makubu in his capacity as Johannesburg or regional treasurer.
Correct.
Of the ANC in Johannesburg to sign on the letterheads of the ANC. This appears to be different. It can't be meant for him to sign in that capacity.
Correct, Chair. This looks like this is for him to sign in his capacity as at the City of Johannesburg.
Yes, so the contemplation is that whoever must sign the letter appearing at page 784 would be either Mr. Makubu, if he was part of the City of Johannesburg at that time, or some official in the City of Johannesburg. Is that correct?
That is my understanding, Chair. You've summed it up perfectly.
Yes. Okay, all right.
Mr. Paulo, are you aware what position within the city Mr. Makubo occupied in 2014?
He was previously a councillor, and then he was MMC for finance at the City of Johannesburg, Chair. And I think that he held the latter position in 2014.
That is how I understand his statement to the Commission, Chair.
I think you said MEC, but I guess...
MMC.
Yeah, MMC.
Correct, Chair.
Now, so ineffectively, Mr. Makubedu works on the basis that the City of Johannesburg is going to, must write a letter to him saying, in effect, you are the preferred bidder or whatever in regard to this tender. And, but he prepares the letter, and it must be signed by somebody within the City of Johannesburg addressed to him.
Correct.
That is in May 20, well, he may have backdated it, it may be September 2014. This is after a series of payments that he seems to have been involved in.
Correct.
And donating to the ANC and so on, and having those dealings with Mr. Makubo, is that right?
That is correct, Chair. And that's why the dates and the timing is so important.
Yeah.
Chair, I do a lot of support to companies on anti-corruption compliance. And we advise our clients that during any bid adjudication, and even if it's an unsolicited bid, you shouldn't be making any donations, you shouldn't provide anything of value. But what we've seen is almost a pattern of regular
solicitation of donations coupled to the awards of these tenders. It's almost as if the tenders are being granted in exchange for financial benefit to the party.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Chaskelson?
Chair, and if I may
Yes.
just add, and to the individual, because as Mr. Chaskelson has taken us through, you also see simultaneous injections into personal bank accounts of Mr. Makubo at the same time.
Yes.
Chair, I'd just like to clarify, it's not personal bank accounts of Mr. Makubo.
Sorry,
It's Molowani Consulting.
Consulting, yeah.
You're right.
Okay, okay.
Can I ask you then to go to page 785? And if you can describe the email that you see there, there is it starts with something that's forwarded from Patrick Makubedu to himself. We don't need to concern ourselves with that, but the forwarded email that trails below, can you describe to the Chair what you see there and how you understand it?
Chair, this is an email from Ebrahim La, and I mentioned Ebrahim Laher was the head of the SAP division at EOH, and it's sent to Patrick Makubedu, dated 18 September 2014. It copies various other employees, Ashley de Klerk, Curtin Seater, Stephen Nurcombe Thorne at EOH, and the subject header is forward with EOH confidential COJ. And the narration at the start of the email is, "Hi Patrick, in preparation for your meeting now with Jeff, please see below for confirmation on the work being done by SAP. Our qualms are these services were part of A472 that was awarded to us. No formal tender process was done by the COJ to award these projects to SAP. Who signed these projects off in the city? Trevor, as indicated to Ashley, did not know about this. The Trevor referred to was a Mr. Trevor Fowler, who was a senior employee at the city at the time. And it goes on to say, SAP have now been there for about a year. Where is this billing, etc., happening?"
So can you translate this email for the Chair? What is actually being asked of Patrick here?
So what it appears to be, Chair, is that SAP, the OEM, can provide services directly. They don't have to go through a reseller like EOH. And EOH were becoming uncomfortable because it looks like SAP were encroaching on their territory. And it appears that that's what they wanted to discuss with Jeff to try and influence, to try stop this happening. It would appear, Chair.
Are there any Jeffs other than Mr. Makubo who you're aware of in the course of your investigation, or who you've become aware of in the course of your investigation of EOH's relationship with the city?
Mr. Chair, we haven't come across another Jeff. The correspondence on COJ is predominantly Patrick Makubedu, Jeff Makubo, and various others, Ebrahim La, etc., but certainly no other Jeff.
Can I then take you to page 787?
Certainly, Chair. Page 787 is a document on the African National Congress lettered Tshwane region, and it seems to emanate from the Office of the Regional Secretary. It is dated 18 September 2014, and it's addressed to whom it may concern, EOH Matombo Pty Limited. Subject, request for assistance. It starts off with warm revolutionary greetings, as per letter dated 12 September 2014, which was directed to your company. The ANC in Tshwane had requested that your company for assistance. However, till to date, we have not received any confirmation of payment from our service providers relating to the undermentioned services. The ANC is requesting that your company to remunerate those service providers within a week or during the course of next week, as we cannot continue with the conference if those services are not yet remunerated.
For the ANC to achieve or hold a successful conference, we therefore request the following from your company, and then it's got a bullet as conference package for 400 delegates, 300,000, and then in brackets, Sekatle Trading and Projects, account number, and it's an FNB bank account. And then it goes on to say we are a non-profit organization with the mission to deliver quality services to our members and fellow citizens of South Africa. We continue to meet our goals because of thoughtful contributions from companies like you. And then it's got below that, NB, it will be highly appreciated if payment is made during the course of next week or before in order for us to focus on other logistics. Date again, Chair, is 18 September 2014.
Then on 789, if you turn the page.
On 789, we have an attachment that was forwarded by Patrick Makubedo to Renee Jonker and Gian McKay at EOH, and it's headed Request for Assistance, Request Conference Doc as the attachment, and it seems to be the document we've just read, Chair. And then this forwarding is from Danny Matila dn@icloud.com, dated Thursday, September 18, 2014, and it's the request for assistance sent to Patrick Makubedu at his Gmail address, and this comes from, it says, "Good day, kindly find the attached in order, regards to Mino Matila.
And do I understand that the attachment is that request from the Tshwane ANC 300 for 300,000?
Correct, Chair. That's what it appears to be.
Can I then take you to page 621?
Certainly. Chair, at 621, there's an email from Patrick Makubedu dated 20 September 2014, and it's addressed to Gian McKay at EOH, Ebrahim Lahir at EOH, and it forwards the financial assistance request, and there's an untitled PDF attachment, and the narration is, "Hi, please receive from the request from ANC Joburg region. Regards, Patrick." Chair, I just highlight the date again. You'll see 20 September. And this document forwarded a document that came from Jeff Makubo, addressed to Patrick Makubedu on Friday, September the 19th, so the day before, saying, "Dear Patrick, please find a letter of funding request towards our regional conference expenses. Regards, Jeff Makubo."
Can you turn the page?
Certainly. Chair, the next page, page 622, attaches a letter on an African National Congress Greater Johannesburg region letterhead.
Can I stop you there? Is this the document that was attached to the email that was
That
forwarded?
is correct. This appears to be the attachment to the email I've just read, Chair. And this document comes from the Office of the Regional Treasurer, Greater Johannesburg Region ANC, and it's addressed to Mr. Patrick Makubedu, and it refers to the executive EOH Mtombo, and it's also CC'ing Mr. Ebrahim Lahir, dated 19 September 2014, request for financial assistance. "Dear Patrick Makubedu, we would like to thank you for the support your organization has given to the ANC in the past. The ANC in Greater Johannesburg region will be going to its conference from the 16th to 19th October 2014 at Cedar Park in Woodmead. We are expecting 500 delegates from branches, the leagues, the alliance, representatives of business and the religious sector. The Congress will discuss and take resolutions on issues like governance, elections, the economic transformation, and social transformation. The conference requires resources to execute. We therefore humbly request a donation to cover, amongst others, the following expenses: It then refers to conference venue and accommodation, 2 million. Conference package and paraphernalia, 1.2 million. Transport and registration, 600,000. Printing, documents and shirts, 250,000. Other, 250,000. Total, 4,300,000, Chair. And then what follows on the next page at 623 is the banking details.
I think, I'm hoping the Chair's copy isn't cut off, because I think yours is, because there's an important paragraph at the bottom of page 622.
Chair, I think it might be cut off, but I've got one line, if I may read it.
But I see there is no full stop at the end of the last sentence on page 622.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that means it's cut off or that means they stopped, they didn't put in the full stop. The Regional Executive Committee will appreciate contribution of at least 2.5 million to ensure a successful conference. That's my last line.
That is the last. I just didn't understand. I didn't hear Mr. Powell read that last sentence.
Yes.
Chair, I'm slightly cut off further than you are, so thank you. That is the last line.
Yes.
And then, of course, in the following page, that's where it says the banking details and so on.
Correct. And then it ends with, thank you. Your support is highly appreciated, and we thank you in advance for your commitment and contribution towards strengthening our democracy. Yours in democracy, Jeff Makuba, Regional Treasurer, with his cell number.
Can I ask, I don't want it to be published, but can I ask that we take a note of that cell number, because it's going to become relevant later on? Chair, will you just write it down somewhere, because it will become relevant later on?
What is that?
The cell number on
okay.
page 6,
Okay.
623.
Okay. Yes, no, that's fine. I've taken note of it. It does look like the ANC was quite active in seeking donations during this particular month.
Certainly from EOH.
Yeah, from EOH, yeah. Thank you.
Can we then go back to a document that we've seen previously? It's it's on page 296. I'm not sure we've actually seen this one previously. No, we haven't. Sorry, I skipped over it when we were doing payments.
The document at page 296 is headed Transactions Report, and it reflects company TSS Managed Services. And in the middle of the page, it has a line referring to beneficiary, Malawane Consulting.
Can you just look at the date as well?
Absolutely. Apologies, Mr. Chaskelson. The date is 20 September 2014. And if we look at the...
I'm sorry. I'm at 296. Is that where you are too?
Yes. It's a transactions report, Chair. And then the
dates that okay, I see 20 September. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
And just below that, the date, Chair, is a double line with beneficiary, branch account reference, etc. And the beneficiary is reflected as Malawane Consulting. The branch number is reflected, there's an account number, and the reference is TSSMS, and then GenVen, GNVN. And the amount is...
Okay, yeah, beneficiary, Molelwane Consulting, and then the branch and the account number and the reference. The reference is TSSMS GenVen.
Correct, Chair,
That's right.
and the amount is 570,000 rand,
Yes.
and it's got an action
Is
date,
20 September the
20
date of,
September 2014.
is 20 September 2014 the date of the transaction?
It appears to be, Chair.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Powell, can you tell the Chair what work, if any, you found that Molelwane did in return for this payment?
So before that, just so that I understand this document at page 296, it says transactions report is produced by who?
TSS,
And is a report of what?
it's a report of the company on financial transactions, payments, Chair. And this is,
Of
it's
TSS?
TSS,
Okay.
MS, Chair, and it's supplied as a proof of a payment to Molelwane, referring to the preceding email.
Okay. And the items mentioned at the bottom there below rejection reason legend, are those,
I don't think it's relevant, Chair.
Oh, that's not
because
relevant.
this has been processed.
well, what is relevant is what appears before that, namely the transaction of 570,000 rand,
Correct, Chair.
which reflects, so it would reflect a payment by TSS Managed Services to Molelwane Consulting on the 20th September 2014
Correct, Chair.
into that account number and that branch.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
And the evidence leader has just asked me whether I'm aware of any work that was done for this payment, and I'm not, Chair. We've tried to establish if there was services rendered, and we're not aware.
Yes. What is in those instances where you say, as you do in regard to this payment, that you and your team tried to establish what work had been done and you didn't find any evidence?
Chair, we've gone to...
How would you rate the chances that you made a mistake? There is evidence, depending on the thoroughness of your investigation. How would you...
Chair, it's not impossible that there may be something that was done that we're not aware of.
Yes.
So our process is we go to the employees who were involved in the project at the time, and we ask them, did you work with this entity? Did you come across this entity? Did they feature in the project at all? And the answer was no. The work that was done on this specific project was done by a former EOH employee.
Yes.
So that's why I'm confident, Chair, that...
And the former employees said they didn't do any work?
The former employees, the current employees have confirmed that they didn't do work, and they've indicated that the actual work was done by an EOH employee.
Oh, okay, okay. But your team, your investigation team, would it have taken statements from various persons who were interviewed to say, what do you know about this? And would there be statements that are stored somewhere?
Chair, there are statements for some portions where we've lodged criminal cases.
Yes.
And for others, we've just gathered the information. And for
Yes.
some of these items, like the request from the Commission, we've responded as quickly as we could to get the information across.
Yes.
So
Yes. But you feel reasonably confident that where you say you could not find any evidence of work, chances are good that no
Correct,
work
Chair.
was done.
Chair, and the other reason for my confidence is that this is a common practice that we came across at EOH with partners on projects, and I referred, Chair, previously to these nebulous terms on teaming agreements that sometimes are blank or they refer to broad services. On many of the projects, we've had a similar phenomenon where people are paid, but they haven't provided any services. So Chair, if I can just conclude that thought, it comes at great cost to EOH because they tender for a project or they do the work on a project, they pay away to these business partners, and in some instances, they don't even recover the money from the client for the work and they just lose money as a result. But the ED partners, like in this case Molelwane, are paid and they get their money.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
And just to another detail on this document, if you go back to 295, back a page to...
Certainly.
Can you just describe that email?
Certainly. Chair, 295 is an email from a Natalie Buchner at EOH sent to Renee Jonker on 6 October 2014, and it says, subject Ray, proof of payment Molalwane, attachments, proof of payment Molalwane Consulting PDF. And that seems to refer to this document that we've just analyzed.
And just the narrative on the email.
Please find attached proof of payment for Molalwane in the amount of 570,000 paid on 19 September 2014. Thank you and regards, Natalie Buchner, Accounts Payable Manager, TSS, Managed Services.
Then the last document in this 2014 chronology is at page 625.
Just one sec, Mr. Chairperson. So the long and short of a number of these transactions, Mr. Powell, is that there were many occasions when EOH or other entity under EOH would pay a lot of money to Molelwane Consulting or Molelwane Holdings for no work that has been done as far as your investigation has
Correct,
gone.
Chair.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Chair, we will elaborate shortly, but the same scenario happens with Mfundi, and we'll go into that detail shortly.
And then if you can go to from 20 September to 2 October at page 625.
Certainly, Chair. At 625, we have a Nedbank proof of payment. It's headed Authorized Payment Batch Completed, and this reflects batch description, ANC Greater Johannesburg account, from account TSS Managed Services, Pty Limited, and an account number. It is dated 2 October 2014, and the description is ANC Greater Johannesburg account. The amount, the batch total, is referred to as 1.5 million, and the authorizer T2 is Gian McKay. And then if we look at the narration on the table just below, it refers to the beneficiary name, ANC Greater Johannesburg account, beneficiary's account number, branch, once-off payment captured, beneficiary statement description as TSS Managed Services Pty Limited, and on the account holder's description, TSS's Managed Services account, it reflects ANC Greater Johannesburg account as the description. And then the amount on the right is 1.5 million rand.
And then if you can just go up to page 624, you'll see an email which attaches that proof of payment.
That is correct, Chair. At 624, there's an email from Patrick Makubedu to Jeff Makubo, dated 2 October 2014, and it forwards POP ANC. The POP refers to the proof of payment we've just read, Chair, and it's a JPG, a picture attachment, ANC Greater Johannesburg account, 2 October 14. And that is sent by Patrick Makubedu after he receives the same proof of payment from Renee Jonker at TSS MS, dated 2 October 2014, and this is sent to Patrick Makubedu. So he just forwards the proof of payment once it's been made off to Jeff Makubo.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. We're going to move on to a completely new topic now. We've completed our 2014 chronology. Is there anything beyond that which you've said already that you would want to say to the Chair in relation to that 24 chronology from August to October that we've been looking at?
I think my observation, Chair, is, as Chair pointed out, there was a lot of donation requests that coincided with the award, and we've pointed out the anomalies in Makubedu drafting the award to himself. It's just unheard of, Chair. It's just wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Our next chronology deals with a tender in 2016, and for the purposes of this chronology, I want us to start on your second report at page 91, where you describe the A647 tender of 2016. Can you go to page 91?
Certainly.
Maybe, Mr. Chairperson, it would be convenient to put in a divider or something just that will indicate where one finds each one of the three reports, so that it's easier to go to it much more quicker.
I will certainly do that, Chair. The problem in relation to this tender is that it straddles both reports, and so there's no one simple place where, and for the most part I will be referring to documents between about pages 450 and 530 where the original underlying documents are.
Okay, no, that's
but I do have to refer to some stuff attached to the original report as well.
Okay.
But we will have your file organized so that the three separate reports can at least be partitioned.
Okay.
So in paragraph 91, you describe briefly this tender A647. Can you explain to the Chair what this tender was about and what its period was?
Certainly. Chair, the COJ SAP upgrade tender for 2016 is referred to as the COJ tender A647 for SAP upgrade/implementation. This was advertised in November 2015 with a closing date of 14 December 2015. COJ awarded this tender to EH Matombo on 8 June 2016 for a price of just over 404 million, including VAT. Chair, again, the date will become crucial, and I emphasize 8 June 2016, and if the 2014 donations appeared large...
I'm busy looking for June 2014 or 2016. Oh, here it is, yeah.
Chair, if the previous donations that I explained and elaborated on looked large, they are about to be dwarfed by some significant developments that we will now go into detail on.
Yes.
So our chronology starts on 2 November. Can I take you to page 480?
Just before you do, Chair, we're now at the heart of what EOH had discovered after they appointed us, after what we initially found on the investigation, and we reported to the Hawks, to the DPCI.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Jaskelson?
480.
Thank you.
At page 91 do I find? Oh, there it is, the reference to 404 million. Okay, I've found that now.
Thank you.
Okay, are we still on that page? Or?
Chair, we're now going to go through a chronology of the emails and the like, and so we're going to page 480.
480.
And Chair, in relation to this chronology, I will be referring also to 4 or 5 documents in Flow of Funds Bundle 3.
Okay.
So it may be useful to have that
it,
bundle
yeah.
to hand.
I think let's have that bundle at hand.
Chair, this time it's more than one document. It's 5 across the file, so I think we should give you the whole file.
Okay. Yeah, just give me the whole bundle, seriously. He might not refer to it now. Okay, all right. Thank you. But at this stage, you just want me to go to 480.
Of bundle 1, but I
one,
just would
yeah.
like you to have that other file
Yeah.
to hand because we're
Yes,
going to
okay.
get there in due course.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. At page 480 of the bundle, we have an email from a Nayeko Mutaleni at eoh.co.za.
Yes, that's N-Y-I-K-O. I think it's Nyiko.
Nyiko.
Mutileni, M-U-T-I-L-E-N-I. Yes.
Correct, Chair. Thank you. And it is addressed to Gian McKay, sent on 2 November 2015, and it forwards City of Johannesburg outsourced IT services, and the narration starts with FYI, City of Johannesburg outsourced 10 days out. I've prepared all team members to attend to it. I've also notified Mr. Makabedu because of Jeff's influence. Thank you. And he forwards an attachment from a Herman Skeepers, and it looks like the document was forwarded to him.
Can I then ask you to go to page 453?
Certainly.
So, I'm sorry, Nyiko Mutileni is an EOH person, huh?
Correct. He's
Okay.
forwarding to his bosses because
Yes.
the city is now advertising the tender,
Yes.
Chair, and we're about to go into how upset EOH were that this was
Yes.
being advertised.
Yes, okay.
Sorry, I have actually glossed over quite an important part of that email. He says, I've notified Mr. Makabedu because of Jeff's influence.
Correct.
Yes.
Chair, I've previously testified that we've only come across a Jeff Makubo who engages with Patrick Makubedu.
Yes.
And it appears, I am assuming, and I think correctly so, Chair, that this is notifying Mr. Makubedu because of Jeff's influence, because it is clear Makubedu has a very good relationship with Jeff Makubo.
Can we then pick up what's going on inside EOH by going to page 453? We may, in fact, have to go down a little bit.
Yes.
Maybe the correct place to start is the last of that chain of emails on 453, 7 November 2015 at 9:39, which will spill on to 454.
Correct. Chair, on 7 November, this is at the bottom of that page 453, Ebrahim Lahr writes an email. COJ are proceeding with the advertising of our current contract this week. This despite the assurance that they would rather extend our contract.
This is Mr. Ibrahim Lahr.
Ebrahim Lahr.
Writing to whom? Writing to Asha Bobot or what?
It's not very clear, but it's clear Mr. Bobat replies, so I assume it has to be Mr. Bobat.
Yes, okay, right.
If I can possibly assist, this is one long email chain
Yes.
between Mr. Bobot and Mr. Lahr,
Okay.
and we see the two parties right up at the top at 453, Chair.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Correct, Mr. Chaskelson is quite correct, Chair.
Yes.
He goes on to say that on the next page at 454, also it seems that certain camps want to reduce the scope of this contract radically, even though they don't have the skills to run the system or the billing department. This could create a billing crisis again, unless the plan is to somehow obtain our skills in another way, poaching / another partner. And then he goes on to say our support contract, the SAP upgrade and the IT outsource contracts are out at the same time. I don't think they will award all three to us. As EOH, our current revenue out of these is about 250 million per year. The upside, if we pull this off, is to go to about 500 million per year, but I'm on the maintain our current base page. Anyway, he reads as the next line is, anyway, I suspect the next quarter is going to be a political minefield, so we need to be proactive and ready for what is coming. We can't lose this. And just before that, when they announced the advertisement of the tender, and it looks like that knowledge came from the city of Johannesburg, they received intelligence that this tender is going out. The response from Lahore was just, wow, ! Chair, and that is on 3 November on page 454. Usher Babat then asks, what does this mean? And then Lahore explains. So, Chair, I'm now going to move forward to page 453 for the rest of that thread. Usher Babat then asks, how, ? What must we do? What must we do? Can we get the involved guys together on Monday? And then Ibrahim Lahore replies, hi, Usher. Yes, we have started some stuff. And the next line I want to emphasize, Chair, and have a full political and technical strategy for this. But our team is riddled with internal politics and half-hearted attempts and personal agendas. Your assistance in meeting, as you indicate, will be essential, I think. I will chat to Yas and set this up. Thanks. And then Usher just replies with the thanks.
Then if we can go, we've seen that chain from 7 November, 13 November, 483. If we go down to 483.
Certainly. Chair, on 483.
And once again, can I ask you to start at the bottom of this email thread so that we go through it chronologically in time?
It starts at the bottom, Chair, with a note to Hi Nyiko. Please find the attached letter. Kind regards, Mfo Kolane.
So that's Mpo Kotane.
Yeah.
Mphokotane.
Mpo Kolane.
Yes.
SAP Upgrade Program Change Management Lead. And then there seems to be a document attached.
Can I take you then for that document to 485?
Certainly, Chair. The document attached appears to be a letter from City of Johannesburg addressed to this Nahiko Mutalani, and it's addressed to EOH Technology and Outsourcing, and it's dated 23 October 2015, and it refers to the header is request promotional items for the optimization and modernization of non-SAP applications. And it refers to...
Because we're going to run out of quite a lot of time, if you can just give a general description of what this document is.
Basically, it's asking for sponsorships of a whole lot of goodies, technical laptops, smartphones, gift vouchers, power banks, memory sticks, etc., as part of a promotion prize, competition prizes. It ends after a description of all the items on the next page, Chair, at 486, and it refers to, please note, the competition prizes are urgent. It will be appreciated if you could respond by Monday, the 26th October 2015, before close of business, and then thanking you in advance to Melo.
Tumelo
Kagane.
acting group Head Information Communications Technology and Information Management. That is somebody from the city of Johannesburg.
Chair, his email underneath describes himself as someone from the city. It's tumelokga@joburg.org.za.
Yes.
Yeah, and the letter is from City of Johannesburg, of course.
Yes. And then if you can just go back to the top of this thread at page 483, what does Nicol Mutileni do with this?
At the top, we see that Nieko Mutileni sends this to Gian McKay, and he copies Shazay Gordon. At the time, Shazay Gordon was Gian McKay's personal assistant, and it's dated 13 November 2015. Request for donation and promotional items attaching the document, the letter, and it reflects, "Hi Gian, please approve the request from COJ."
Then if I can take us forward a week, almost a week, and ask you to go to page 483, 456.
Certainly.
And if you could describe the email at the top of the page. I'm not needing you to describe
Certainly.
the whole thread, just the...
This document at 456, Chair, is an email from Ebrahim Laher to Usher Bobat, dated 20 November 2015, and the subject is City of Johannesburg A649 support. Hi Usher, the COJ support tender has come out. We have our work cut out. A meeting with Parks people tomorrow afternoon. At the time, Chair, Parks Tau was the executive mayor. The email goes on to say, have spoken to Pat and Gian and will manage that angle separately. And Chair, I'm presuming the Pat refers to Patrick Makubedu, who seems to have been integral to City of Johannesburg. Am hopeful we will know more after tomorrow. And then there's a line below that, good intel on COJ from Cell today at SAP UK. Regards, Ebrahim Laher.
Then, if we can go to page 487.
Chair, if I may just bring the connection. The earlier emails that we looked at, the EOH team referred to a technical and a political strategy. And I suspect that this, spoken to Pat and Gian and will manage that angle separately, refers to a political strategy. Thank you, Mr. Jaskelson.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Can I ask you to go to page 487? And here, unfortunately, we have a copy that is very poor in the printed versions. But I think that you may have the text from the electronic version separately. I'm interested to begin with on there's a thread again. And I'm interested in the piece of the thread that says on 1 December 2015 at 12:08 p.m., Patrick Makubedu wrote. Chair, I'm not sure if, I'm talking from, if you go down the document on page 487,
Yes.
you'll see at a certain point lines start going down the left-hand side of your page.
Yes.
So there's the first line that says, hi, Pat. There's the
Yes, I can see that.
And then there's just above the second line, on 1 December 2015 at 12:08, Patrick Makubedu wrote. And
I'm sorry. There is that email that says, hi, Pat, please call him and let you and I meet him, from Ashley. I'm now referring to below that.
below that, indeed.
Okay, what is below that is not legible at all. on my copy.
Okay. Chair, we
you
will
can-
get
you
an
can-
enhanced copy made available to you.
Yes, but
If
you
I-
can read it.
Can I read out what
Yes.
the section that I'm interested
Yeah.
in emphasizing?
Yes.
It says on 1 December 2015 at 8:21 a.m., Abraham Lahir wrote, "Hi guys, quick update on the consortia talks for the bid. Deloitte have pulled out of the bid. They think they will get the PMO." Sorry, Mr. Powell, do you know what the PMO stands for?
Not certain.
You're nodding your head, but for the record, I think that means no.
No, I'm not certain, Mr. Chaskelson.
Going back to the text of the email, Trevor has apparently assured them, exclamation mark. I have asked Ashley to contact KMG as per Pat's conversation with Jeff. HDS want to pull out, according to Kirtan. Pat, Kirtan hasn't heard from EMC, nothing from Accenture. Regards, Abraham Lahir. The passages I would emphasize, Chair, are update on the consortia talks for the bid, so they're talking about putting together a consortium. I have asked Ashley to contact KPMG as per Pat's conversation with Jeff. Then, can I take you up the page to the legible email at the top of the page from Jihan Mackay on 2 December 2015?
Certainly, Chair, and if I may just add, I can confirm what Mr. Chaskelson has read because I have seen the original. Unfortunately, my copy, like yours, is unclear. But I do confirm the content of that email.
Yes.
The next one that Mr. Chaskelson referred to is Gian McKay, Ray COJ Upgrade Consortium, 2 December 2015. He writes to Ashley de Klerk, and he copies Patrick Makabedu, Ibrahim Lahir, Neyiko Mutaleni, as well as Curtin Sita. These are all EOH employees. Hi guys, can we please ensure that our bids to COJ, we commit that a certain percentage of the work and revenue will be allocated to Josie at Work program, and we need to provide more or less an estimate on how many SMEs this allocation will benefit and number of jobs created. From our meeting last night, this part is very critical. In addition, please can we include an option B in the upgrade that basically includes upgrade plus support and the potential value proposition to the city for combining, which obviously should be price. We should be aggressive, as this can be used to justify giving us both upgrade and support. The next line, Chair, is EBS, EBS/PAT. We need a number urgently that can be allocated for goodwill to the organization. And behind goodwill, they've got the, in brackets, and
it's a colon, then brackets.
And
what does that symbolize?
It's usually a smiley face, Chair. And the EBS that's referred to, that appears to be a reference to Ibrahim Lahir, an abbreviation of his name, and the PAT appears to be Patrick Makabedu, who is in the string. Thanks, Gian. And then...
So can I just ask you to comment on that last sentence? What is Gian Mackay saying to EBS and PAT?
Mr. Chair, they're going to give benefits to the city of Joburg.
We may disagree, Mr. Powell.
Sorry, they're going to give benefits. They're going to provide goodwill to the organization. So it's to build in some allowance.
Yes, okay.
We'll come to see which organization gets the benefits later.
Mr. Chair, that was a Freudian slip. I think Chair knows which organization I was referring to.
The closing date of the bid...
I'm sorry, Mr. Chaskelson. I just want to understand that last sentence. EBS/PAT, we need a number urgently that can be allocated for goodwill, then smile to the organization. That number is supposed to be what? Money?
It's money,
as
a
you
budget.
understand it?
We need to build in a goodwill figure, Mr. Chair. So if I draw the link between the dots, it appears to be we will need to make a donation to the ANC.
Yes.
And
Okay.
when we look at what transpires,
Yes.
it would appear that what I've just suggested is correct.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yes, Mr. Chaskerson.
Then if you'll recall that I don't need to take you back there because you've already mentioned this, but I want to just locate this point in the chronology. At page 91, when you were describing the tender, you mentioned that the closing date was 14 December. So in the chronology, we can just record 14 December as closing date for the bids. The next point in the chronology that I would like to refer you to is in Flow of Funds Bundle 3 at page 646.
Yes, 646.
Chair, if you just go back to 645, you will see that this document is part of a bank statement, and it's Mola Wane Consulting CC FNB business check account and their number. And then Mr. Chaskelson is referring me to page 646, Chair. And on 646, if we have a look at the document.
Yes, don't speak too far away from the mic.
Apologies, Mr. Chair, I've got too many files in front of me. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, at page 646.
Mr. Chaskelson, do you want me to refer to...
Sorry, I forgot I'm supposed to be asking questions here. Can you go to an entry on 1 February?
1 February, Mr. Chair, there's a MagTape credit, Patrick Makubedu Mfundi, 200,000 rand.
Yes.
And can you just look at what the balance in Molelwane was before this transfer from Mfundi into Molelwane?
Chair, I mentioned before we've seen a pattern. This time the balance was 63 rand and 19 cents. So there was almost nothing in that account.
Yes, that's the account of Molelwane Consulting CC.
Correct, Chair.
And the description, P. Makubedu
Mfundi.
Does that mean it comes from Mfundi to Makubedu?
Chair, maybe if I can take Mr. Powell to another document which will answer your question.
Yes.
Okay.
If you go to page 344 of the bundle 1, not bundle 3. We can leave bundle 3 for now. We'll come back to it a little later with other payments.
Three, four, one.
344, Chair. 344.
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Chaskelson, just one sec.
And Chair, I'm afraid I've played a card too soon because I'm going to show you a very interesting document which I was hoping to defer till much later. I'd ask you not to. We will come back to it and unpick it in great detail.
Okay, no, that's all right.
But I just want to refer to something in that regard. 344, have you got that document?
I've got that, Chair.
Can you describe that document to the chairperson, and then I'll take you to the attachments.
Certainly. This document on 344, Chair, is an email from Reno Barry, and the email address is renobarryconsulting.co.za, and it's dated 6 January 2017 to Patrick Makabedu, subject Mfundi ANC Recon, and it has an attachment Mfundi GM ANC updated 13 August 2016 spreadsheet, and Mfundi Management Report, December 2016 spreadsheet. The narration is, "Hi Patrick, attached is the last ANC recon I have, showing an amount of 560,000 still to go. However, there might be payments made afterwards that must be added to the recon to reduce this balance. See columns for August and September 2016 for items not included. Please advise if any items must be added to the recon."
I don't want you to go through the whole of this document yet, because it's a long document and we need to get there in due course. But what I do, if you can go to the document at 346, which is one of, first can you confirm whether this is, if you go 345, there's one document, 346.
Correct.
Are those the attachments to that email?
Correct, Chair. So there's a first attachment, and Mr. Chaskelson is going to the second attachment to that email.
So the first attachment is the one at 345.
Correct, and we'll come back to that one later, Chair.
Okay.
And you'll recall earlier that we took the chairperson to some management accounts of Mfundi Mobile in 2014 that looked in a similar that had a similar format. Can I ask you to look at the document at 346 and describe to the chair what this document is?
Chair, just apologies, my copy is again cut off slightly. So there's a Mfundi Management Report dated December 2016, and this seems to be the management report. There's a narration at the top that is cut off, Mr. Chaskelson, so if you don't mind, can I ask that you read that in, and then I will continue.
It says profit and loss report.
Profit and loss. I've only got the loss report.
Hang on, Mr. Powell. You refer to the date of December 2016, but I only see 1 March 2016 to 28 to 2017 on page 346. Am I on the right page? Is 346 the right page?
It is the right page, Chair. I think the document has got a potentially misleading title. It may be that he's saved in a running management report spreadsheet, running accounts that go beyond 2016, because the heading of the document itself describes. No, I take that back, Chair.
It says profit and loss report.
Indeed, Chair.
And then it says below that Mfundi Mobile Networks Pty Limited, and then it says date range 1 March 2016 to 28 February 2017.
That's correct, Chair. And if you look at the columns, you'll see they end in December. They don't run through to January and February. So they're monthly columns.
Oh, okay. No. I thought he was mentioning a particular date, and I was looking for it. So, okay. So you were talking about the column under December.
Not yet, Chair.
Oh, okay.
He was just describing the name of the document as attached to the email.
Okay. All right. No, that's fine.
Now, Mr. Powell, I'm not sure if the copy that you have to hand has a left-hand side margin, or if it cuts off the descriptions
it's
on
got
the left-hand.
half of the wording, so I know there's a narration for a travel company.
Yes. Well, let's before we get to travel company, if I can just read the narrations on the left-hand side into the record, starting off under sales. The first item under sales is sales-COJ SAP support special. And that's the item where you'll find an entry in July. Is that legible on your copy?
half of the narration. Chair.
Okay. Well, then I'm afraid I may have to read these narrations.
Chairperson, let me try and just follow. I've just made a note just above the months to say that's all 2016. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, all right. And you said sales. My first reference to sales is sales, COJ, SAP support. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's SAP support special.
Special, yes.
This is a special sale that
Yes,
Mfundi
okay.
pulled off. In July, what did they get for their special sale relating to the COJ SAP support?
Mr. Chair, this seems to refer to 16 million rand.
So 16 million was reflected as well, an amount due to Mfundi in respect of its special sale. And then we'll come back to this document in detail, and I hope by that stage to have a better copy put in front of you. But for now, I'm interested in some of the costs of sales, or just one for now. And I think that I'm not making the point that I hope to make. We'll have to come back to this document later. After all of that diversion and sort of raising expectations, my point falls flat. So let's move on.
It will come back.
I apologize.
All right, okay.
We were on 1st of February when Mfundi was paid 200. When Mfundi paid Molowani 200,000. Can I take us to the 3rd of February on page 488? I apologize for that lengthy diversion.
Okay, do we remain at page 346?
No, 488, Chair. 488.
And it is 488 of money flows bundles, the one.
That's correct, Chair.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the part of the email string that appears at the bottom of the page, the email headed from Ebrahim Lahir, the last email on the page, from Ebrahim Lahir, date Wednesday, 3 February 2016. Mr. Powell, can you address that email for the Chair?
Absolutely. So this is an email from Ebrahim Lahir, and it's dated Wednesday, 3 February 2016, and it's addressed to Ashley de Klerk, Curtin Seater, Stephen Nurkham-Thorne, and various other EOH employees. And its subject header is status of stuff. And it starts with, "Hi guys, I've been running around like crazy and haven't had time to debrief you on all the key things that I've been involved in that I need to share with you. COJ, am very concerned about the city allowing people to reprice. Seems to be a way to catch us out on scope. We need to be careful here." And then the point below that is actions. "I will meet with Jeff." And then below that, it talks about, my copy is illegible on the first word, "Someone and I need to meet with Dada."
That is Ash and I.
Ash.
Who is Ash?
Asher Bobat, Chair, the Chief Executive Officer of EOH at the time.
And who is Dada?
Chair, it escapes me at the moment.
Okay. Well, let's not go further down this email, because the critical point for our purposes today is actions. "I will meet with Jeff."
Correct.
Can we go down the chronology again and go back into volume 3, bundle 3?
Certainly.
and go to page 652.
Chair, just before I go into 652, I'll just identify this is the second page of a bank statement for Malawane Consulting, and it's a gold business account with the account number and...
On what page, 651?
Correct, and the statement date is 17 May 2016, and Mr. Jaskelson is going to take me to the
25 April.
of April.
I'm sorry, just hang on 1 second, Mr. Powell.
Thank you.
You're saying the bank statement at page 651.
Yes.
Did you say what is the date? I see 16 April 2016
Correct.
to 17 May. That's the date you are talking about?
Correct, Chair.
Okay, all right.
And on page 652, if we look at 25 April, you'll see that there is a MagTape credit, description P. Makubedu, and the amount is 50,000 Rand.
Yes.
And if I may preempt Mr. Jaskelson's next question, Chair, the balance preceding this deposit was 617 Rand and 77 cents. So the account was almost depleted and it got this deposit from Patrick Makubedu.
So it's like there's a pattern when the account is very low, then there's a top-up.
Exactly, Chair. That's what it clearly looks like.
Okay.
Now if I can take you to page 346 and 347, which is the Mfundi Mobile cost of sales. And if you can start on page 346, just to get the month headings, because on 347, where I will take you, the headings don't appear. I want to make the point that the second column is April.
Yes, that is correct.
So if you go down to 347,
Okay. Firstly, at 346, that's a bank statement
So we've got to go
for
to...
Molelwane Consulting CC.
no, Chair, that's the document we were looking at a minute or so ago. If we go back up to 344, I think it will be. Yes, 344.
Yes.
There's the email from Reno Barry to Patrick Makubedu attaching the last ANC recon and his management report.
I'm at bundle 3.
Chair, I'm sorry, we should be back in bundle 1.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Chair.
Bundle 1 and what page?
344 is the covering email again.
Okay. Yes, I've got it.
And so that was the Barry to Makubedu email with the ANC recon and the management report.
Yes.
And the management report itself, which talks about the special COJ SAP support for 16 million and the costs of sales, that's the document from 346.
Yes, okay, yes.
And on 346, Chair, I'd just ask you to note that the second column is April, month April,
Yes.
and the last column is total.
The last column is?
Total.
Yes.
So if we go down to 347 and we see the second line item,
Yes.
that line item is Molelwane Consulting.
Yes.
Unfortunately, in the April column, there's an amount, but it's illegible. But if we go across to the total, we can see what that amount is because it's the only amount on that line. So the total, which is the far column on the right,
That is the 50,000 that we've just referred to, Chair.
Is it 50,000? I thought it was 400,000.
No, the 400,000 is just below it. That's the third line item.
Okay,
Chair.
I think, I was drawing a line and I'm not using a ruler, so I went, okay, so that's 50,000 rand.
And we've just seen Mololwani's accounts that referred to a payment with reference Patrick Makobedu on 22 April of 50,000. What do we infer from this set of accounts? Who made that payment?
It appears in the Mfundi document, so clearly it looks like Mfundi made the payment.
Then we go to page 194, which is a document we've seen before. Can you start with the date of this document?
Certainly. Chair, this document is dated 30 April 2016, and it's a Mololwane Holdings Pty Limited tax invoice addressed to TSS Managed Services Pty Limited, and attention Mr. P. Makobedu, and the description is professional services, LAN and WAN, services rendered as per agreement, LAN and WAN services, 500,000, and I think Chair noted that there's no date of when the services were rendered previously. And the value at the bottom with VAT is 570,000. And the reference again is to Mololwane Consulting bank account. So it's that anomaly I drew Chair's attention to, where the invoice is holdings, but the account is consulting.
For present purposes, the point I want to make is that on 30 April 2016, a Mololwane invoice is sent to TSS Managed Services. Have you been able to identify the services in respect of which Mololwane was invoicing?
No, Chair. I've answered this previously. We couldn't find these services being provided.
What was your question, Mr. Taskalson?
What services has Mr. Powell been able to identify as having been provided in respect of this invoice?
Okay, all right. And the answer is none, as far as you...
Correct, Chair.
Yes.
And if I can add, I mentioned previously we spoke to people who worked on the project. We also did extensive email reviews, and normally when it's an ongoing project, there's exchanges of progress, nothing of the sort, Chair.
Can I ask this question? In the course of your investigation, did you establish whether Mololwane Holdings Pty Ltd, during the times when it sent invoices, but the money, the payment went into Mololwane Consulting, did you establish whether Mololwane Holdings Pty Limited did have a bank account?
No, Chair. We haven't gone that far.
It would be interesting to find out whether Mololwane Holdings Pty Limited did have a bank account, but money was not put into that account, or whether it did not have a bank account.
Chair, that's certainly something the Commission can establish relatively easily.
Yeah.
Chair, if I may say, we weren't investigating Mololwane, but when the Commission asked us to see if there's any documents, we found a lot of documents, as Chair can see.
Yes, no, that's fine.
The next stage in the chronology after 30 April is to be found at pages 495 to 497. And again, this is an email string, but maybe we can start at 495. And if you can read up the string and tell the Chair what is here.
Certainly.
Chair, at 495, we have an email from Ibrahim Lahir, dated Saturday, 9 March 2019. Sorry, this can't be the right date.
No, you are on the right page. If you can go down the string,
Sorry,
because it's to from Nico
yeah.
Muteleni.
Yeah. So we've got 17 May 2016. Naiko Muteleni writes to Ibrahim Lahir at EOH. The subject had a request for sponsorship, and he seems to forward this request, and the request below is from Boneseni Nemangani at City of Johannesburg.
And just for the record, if I can
Yes.
spell that out, MBONISENI, Nemangani, NEMAANGANI.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jaskelson. This document is then forwarded to Ibrahim Lahir, and it appears.
And can I take you to the next page, which is 427? First, can you confirm, is this the document that had the request for the sponsorship?
497.
497, yes.
Correct. This appears to be the request for sponsorship, and it refers to a request for sponsorship New York trip. It is addressed to. It looks like a Mr. Tinyiko Muteleni. I don't know if that's another name of the Nyeko Muteleni that we referred to.
I think Nico is an abbreviation of
Thank you.
Tiniko.
And it's basically a request for a sponsorship trip, New York trip. And please receive our request for sponsorship in pursuance of the trip to City of New York. The trip is from 1 to 10 June 2016. Delegates will be able to attend student exhibition, be part of the celebration of completion of the Global Partners Junior 2015-2016 curriculum, which is focused on arts in cities around the world. And it goes on to say the program is managed by the spouse of the Executive Mayor of the City of Johannesburg, Ms. Philisiwe Twala Tau, underpinned by the GDS 2030 vision of a resilient, sustainable, and livable communities that has been created. The program is located within the Office of the Executive Mayor, but structured to be self-funding and community-driven. And it refers to, attached is the quotation from the traveling agent for ease of reference, and he requests favorable consideration. And then there's another document on 498, and it's headed NYC Global Partners, and this is addressed to Boneseni Nemangane that Mr. Jaskelson just spelt out a moment ago. And it's an invitation to take part in this event.
So the invitation comes on 26 February. The request to EOH to Mr. Muteleni is dated 3 March, and that gets forwarded by Mr. Muteleni to Mr. Lahir on 17 May. And 17
Correct.
May is where we are in our overall chronology of the A647 bid. Can we then go on to page 501? And at the top of the page, there is a string. I'm interested in the email dated 19 May that is the third email in the string.
Apologies, just 1 second.
501.
The second email in the string is an email from Jeff Makubo, sent to Usher Bobat, copying Patrick Makubedu and Gian McKay, as well as Ibrahim Lahir, and it's dated 19 May 2016, and its subject is request for donation Dear Mr. Bobot, please find request letter for a donation. As you are probably aware, we have 12 weeks to elections and the costs are escalating. We request a response at the earliest convenience. We hope that our request will meet your favorable consideration. Regards, Jeff Makubo, Regional Treasurer, ANC, Greater Johannesburg Region, and that same cell number for Mr. Makubo that Chair recorded earlier.
Now, we'll get to
the reference to elections there in 2016 must have been a
2016.
reference to the local government elections.
Indeed, Chair.
2016, okay.
We'll get to the request in a minute, the attached request for donation. I just want to orient ourselves again. The tender that we're talking about, A647, has it been awarded yet?
No, it's pending.
It's pending. Let's go to that letter itself, and that starts at page 499.
Chair, at page 499, we find an African National Congress letter, Greater Johannesburg Region, Office of the Regional Treasurer, directed to Mr. Asha Babat, Group Chief Executive Officer at EOH Mtombo Pty Limited, copying Gian McKay, Ebrahim Lau, Patrick Makabedu, dated 19 May 2016. Request for financial assistance. Dear Mr. Babat, we would like to thank you for the continued support that your company has been giving to the African National Congress in the past. The support ensured that our activities become successful. The ANC in Greater Johannesburg Region is preparing for the 2016 elections. As part of the process, the region is finalizing the process of nominating its candidates. Therefore, the election campaign will be full steam, starting with the local manifesto launch and unveiling of our mayoral candidate. As discussed with your colleagues in previous meetings, these activities require resources to execute, and the elections budget is 50 million rand. The Regional Executive Committee humbly requests and will appreciate contribution and transfers as per timelines below. And then there's a table, Chair. The table reflects date of transfer and the amount, and it reflects 18 May 2016, 5 million, 30 May 2016, 5 million, 15 June 2016, 10 million, 30 June 2016, 10 million, 22 July 2016, 10 million, 1 August 2016, 4 million, 15 August 2016, 3 million, 30 August 2016, 3 million. The total is the 50,000, and then it provides the account.
You said 50,000.
50 million, as we said earlier, Chair. Apologies. And then what follows are the account details and a statement that these are important activities in the calendar of the ANC and our mandate renewal by the electorate. Your support is highly appreciated, and we thank you in advance for your commitment and contribution towards strengthening democracy. Yours in democracy, signed Jeff Makubo, Regional Treasurer, with his cell number.
I just want to check that I have the right reference here. Can I then ask you to go to sorry, that was 19 May. If we go back to 25 May, sorry, if we go back to 194. No, not 194, sorry.
What page again, Mr.?
193.
Okay. Still on bundle one.
Still on bundle one, Chair.
Chair, at 193, there's an email from Patrick Makabedu, dated 25 May 2016, sent to Renee Yonker. Renee Jonke, Chair, will recall, is the finance person at EOH. And it attaches invoice 22 April 2016 PDF. And the narration is very short. Hi, please pay this ASAP.
And if we go over the page, we see the invoice that we've now seen several times before, which is the Molelwane invoice for 500,000.
That is correct, Chair.
Then, can we...
That's quite a large sum going into Molelwane Consulting, particularly if there is no work that was done. Yes, Mr. Chairperson.
Can we go to page 194.1? And Chair, I just want to make sure that you have 194.1.
Yes, I have.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
Can you describe to the Chair what 194.1 is?
Yes, if we start at the bottom of the page, it looks like this was a purchase order, a purchase approval that was sent to on 26 May 2016 to Rob Godlington. Rob Godlington was one of the the executives at EOH, and he received this purchase order approval request, and it spoke about the 570,000 amount, and it referred to Molelwane Consulting, and it was requested by Wesley van Reede, and the date was 26 May. He then writes, Rob Godlington writes to Peter Wynn at EOH regarding the purchase order approval. Hi Peter, what's this for? Cheers, Rob. And then Peter Wynn at the top of the page, Chair, replies on Thursday, May 26, 9:05 p.m. to Rob Godlington. Hi Rob, ED for City of Joburg.
Can you just remind the Chair what ED is?
Yeah. Chair, that is the abbreviation for enterprise development. So it usually involves empowerment spend to develop small SMEs.
Thank you.
I would not have thought that Molelwane would have qualified, Chair, but... So let me continue. ED for City of Joburg, it was budgeted for in the financial year 16 numbers. I asked Renee for a schedule at the time of ED payments budgeted when we compile the budgets then. If the amount is in the budget, I don't ask any further questions. He goes on to say, if you would like me to get more info and the historic payment details for this ED partner, then I know that Renee will have it. I've asked Renee to provide details of ED payments for SASA, and that's the Social Security Agency, as there were some factual inaccuracies in the numbers I quoted in my email earlier this week. This is something else, Chair. The initial number was 2 million and not 3 million for SASA. So essentially what he is saying here is Godlington wanted to know what is the PO for, and they said enterprise development for City of Joburg.
If we then go to page 503, our last exchange was on 26 May, this Godlington Wynn exchange about paying the invoice. On the same day, something else happens. If we go to page 503.
If I may say, Chair, the inquiry as to the purchase order, what is this all about, seems to have been very superficial, because if management had dug into this, they should have raised red flags.
Of course, was it Peter or somebody said, I don't ask questions.
That is also disturbing, Chair.
Yeah.
It's people looking the other way.
Yes. Mr. Chairperson.
If we go to 503, what do we see?
Sorry. At 503, Chair, we've got an email from Jeff Makubo, Sent to Patrick Makubedu, copying Abraham Laher and Gian McKay. And the subject is progress on donation request. And Mr. Makubo writes, Dear Patrick, Gian, and Abraham, I've sent a couple of letters of request to your good selves as a sequel to the meetings we had. The last letter had cash flow requirements starting this week. I have communicated our agreements to the ANC leadership, especially the regional office bearers and province. I've also committed expenditure to ensure that we get renewal of our mandate of transforming Johannesburg. This I have done because of the positive experience I have with you. Can you please give me feedback on the requests as we have a launch rally on the 4th of June 2016 and of course we need to accelerate campaigning. Please come to the party as we are relying on you. Regards, Jeff Makubo with his cell number. So he's following up on that unpaid request from the ANC on the 50 million donation.
And at this stage, has the tender been awarded yet?
Not yet.
Can we then go to bundle 3, page 267?
Is it 267 or 367?
Bundle 3, page 267, bundle 3. And if you can just describe to the Chair the document there.
Certainly, Chair. The document before us on page 267 of Bundle 3 is a Molawane Consulting CC account.
Can I just ask you to describe to the Chair how, to report to the Chair how this account is described? Because there are two Molawane accounts and we're going to be going to another one shortly.
Certainly. This one is described as Molawane Consulting CC, and it has a CK registration 1997, salary account as the header, Chair, and then it refers to a gold business account.
And then if you can go over the page, at page 268, there's an entry on the 30th of May.
Certainly, Chair. On 30 May, there's a electronic magtape credit, apologies, TSS MS Pty Limited, and it's the 570 that we referred to earlier, Chair. And if I follow and preempt Mr. Chaskelson's next question,
yes,
the balance in that account was 268 Rand just before this large cash inflow of 570,000.
So that is on the 30th of May. Can I, staying in the same bundle but going to page 849.
849, certainly. Chair.
And 849 is a table that the Commission has extracted of transactions between Molawane consulting accounts and the two colons on the left-hand side of the two different Molawane accounts, the salary account and the current account. And these are transactions out of either of those accounts into the account of Mr. Makubo's personal account. It's the Commission's document. Can I ask you to go down to 31 May 2016?
I'm sorry, Mr. Traskelson. You say this document at page 849 represents payments into Mr. Makubo's personal account. Is that right?
Indeed.
Yeah.
So the transaction amount, the second column from the right,
Yeah.
is the amount that's paid into Mr. Makubo's account from one of the two Mololwane accounts.
Oh, okay. Either holdings or consulting CC.
They both are Mololwane consulting accounts,
Yes.
but CC accounts.
Oh, CC,
but
not
the
holding,
CC has two bank accounts.
Oh, okay, all right. Yes, thank you.
If we go to 31 May,
31 May 2016, it reflects a transfer, internet transfer, 50,000, and the narration is payment to Mr. Makuba's FNB account.
that's the Commission's narration, I should add. And underneath that,
There's another transfer of
Sorry, the one you have just dealt with, did you say 31 May
31 May.
2016?
31 May 2016.
Okay. Is it that amount of 50,000 rand?
Correct, Chair. And the one that I'm referring to is immediately below that. There's a
Yes.
200,000.
That's 200,000 rand.
Yeah.
Okay, all
I
right.
think what Mr. Chaskelson seems to be pointing out, Mr. Chair, is that the monies go to Mololwane Consulting and then find its way to Mr. Makuba's personal account.
Yes.
indeed, that is what I'm inferring. It's an issue we will take up further with Mr. Makuba when he comes on Friday. If I might just take you back to bundle 3 at page 270, we'll see how those two transactions are reflected in the books, in the account of Mololwane. So if we start at 269, we have the statement from 30 May to 30 June. And if one looks at 31 May, the first two line items just have the description transfer and are both for 50,000.
You said page 269 of bundle 3. Are you at 269?
So 269 is the cover page of the bank
Oh,
account.
then we go to 270.
Indeed.
Okay. And what transaction, what date?
31 May. And Chair, you'll recall there were two transactions on the Commission spreadsheet, one for 50,000, one for 200. Well, one of the first two transactions on 31 May with the simple description transfer would be the 50,000, because there were two 50,000 transfers out of this account with no further description. Then on 31 May, we see the 200,000 with the sorry, a bit lower down, below the Jeff Pardee reference, we see transfer 200,000.
Yes. Thank you.
Can we then go to page 504? Sorry, 504 in bundle 1, not in bundle 3. We're in bundle 3. We need to go back to bundle 1.
504 on bundle 1.
Indeed.
Okay.
Our chronology has taken us to 31 May thus far. Can you describe to the Chair the letter that you see on page 504?
Certainly, Chair. The letter on page 504 is a letter from the City of Johannesburg. It's a registered letter sent to EOH Mtombo, attention Ibrahim Lahir, dear Sir, Madam, and it refers to proposal number A647, request for proposal for the appointment of service provider for the SAP implementation/upgrade for a period of 3 years. Kindly be advised that your offer in respect of an appointment of services provider for the SAP implementation upgrade has been approved by the Executive Adjudication Committee at its meeting held on 2 June 2016. So Mr. Chaskelson referred, Chair, to the fact that the last communication was end of May. Just over a week later, we now have the award.
2 days later.
2 days later, apologies. We now have the award, Chair, and then there's a table that reflects that this award is effective for a 3-year period, commencing from the letter of acceptance, and it refers to Service 1 SAP implementation, 297,895,680 Rand. Service 2, implement a SAP learning solution, develop training material and provide training accordingly, 45,474,144 Rand, including VAT. And the last one is Service 3, existing ERP system data is required to be transformed, cleansed, and migrated to the new ERP system by the appointed master data management specialists, and the price for that is reflected as 61,286,400.
If you total those numbers, what is the total value of the award for EOH?
A fraction over 404 million Rand, Chair.
Then,
Thank you.
the date of this letter. So the decision was apparently taken on the 2nd. The EOH is notified
On 8 June 2016.
Then can I take you to page 507?
What's the page number again?
507, Chair.
Okay.
Or maybe we should start on 507 is the sequence, where the sequence begins.
Correct.
What do you see on 507?
Chair, this is a purchase order. It's EOH SAP Services. That's the division run by Mr. Leher. And it looks like EOH Infrastructure Technologies is delivering to EOH Matombo Pty Limited, Bedford View. And it then goes into details on dated 27 June 2015 and goes into details regarding the provision of various computer periphery, hardware, software, and the value of all of that, Chair, comes to 204,000 Rand and 95, 204,095 Rand.
If we then go up a line, we'll see an invoice on page 506. Can you describe that to the Chair?
Certainly, Chair. There's an invoice on page 506, EOH Matombo. The invoice date is 30 June 2016. And if we look at the invoice, it refers to, it's generated by EOH Infrastructure Technologies, and it's addressed to EOH Matombo Pty Limited. But Chair, if you look at the column on the right, you'll see that the delivery address is Massa House, 12 New Street, Gandhi Square, Marshalltown. And then it reflects attention, Jeff or Justice. And if you look at that cell number, Chair, you will recall that that is the number that Mr. Chaskelson asked you to write down. That is the cell number of Mr. Jeff Makubo. So it appears that Jeff referred to on this donation of 204,000 Rands worth of laptop equipment is delivered to the ANC. And the address, Chair, we have confirmed is one of the regional offices of the ANC.
Then on page 5, can you go to page 521?
Correct, Chair. On page 521, here we have another purchase order. This one is directed to Serendipity Tours in Waterfall Centre, Midrand. And it's
1 second, let me
Certainly.
get there. Yes.
and the delivery address is reflected as delivered to EOH Matombo, and the company that's addressing it is EOH SAP Services, Mr. Loher's business area. And if we look at this, it refers to purchase numbers, dates, categories. The date is 29 June 2016. And if we look at the description, it looks like this is a tour of some sorts. So pro forma invoice 11 May 2016, COJ team, and then there's a list of names, and some of those names featured on some of the documents we saw previously. So this Boneseni Namangan, I see is on the list, and various others. There are 18 names, and what this entails is flights on...
Are you at 571? What page are you
521, Chair.
521.
521, Chair. Sorry.
Okay.
Maybe if you can pause for the Chair to get there and then take the Chair.
Yes,
Certainly,
yes.
certainly. Apologies, Chair.
I was making a note on the previous reference. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to ask you to start
Not at all, Chair.
afresh on that page, yes.
Certainly. This is a purchase order, and it comes from EOH SAP Services, EOH Matombo Pty Limited. It's addressed to Serendipity Tours, who are based in Midrand, and it's got a delivery address to EOH Matombo Pty Limited. But what is referred to in the description below, Chair, is there is a list of names of COJ team, and it refers to a pro forma invoice dated 11 May 2016. And if you look at the narration, it talks about a list of 18 names, and that's referred to as the COJ team. And then flights on Emirates, return airport, hotel, and private transfers, 6 nights accommodation at 3-star Hampton Inn, Manhattan, Times Square, 5 to 11 June 16, and 7 standard room, twin room sharing, 3 standard single rooms with breakfast, approximate airport taxes included. So this seems to be a delegation going to New York that EOH is paying for around the time that they awarded this tender, which, as I indicated earlier, from just good business practice, it's really bad, Chair.
Can I maybe make that a bit more specific? If one goes back to that invitation letter for Mrs. Tao's project of taking people to New York, at page 498, there's a list of names in that invitation letter.
Correct.
So if I can, Chair, if I can ask you to go to 498, and then
Yes,
we'll
please
see
do.
that this appears to be the same project. There's a very substantial overlap in the list of names.
Is it usual for a municipality or a government department to ask for donations as far as you know, Mr. Powell?
It's pretty abnormal, Chair, particularly while a bid is pending with that particular service provider. It just seems totally
Yes.
unacceptable.
It's certainly not something that
Chair, for
I'm used
any
to.
listed company in South Africa, most of those organizations would have a compliance team. And if we look at the EOH of today, Mr. Van Coller has put in a compliance team and a whole lot of policies and controls. At that time, there was one compliance officer for the EOH group, and it was a massive group at that time. And I'm not criticizing the compliance officer, but whenever the business did anything, they didn't even advise the compliance team, and there was no scrutiny that would have suggested it would be prudent not to do this kind of activity pending or after an award.
And it just seems strange that any private company should spend $500,000 of its money on taking local government officials or any government officials on a trip somewhere.
Chair, in fairness, both to Mrs. Tao,
Yes.
this looks like a charity that she sponsors. So the people who go, they have a local government official as their chaperone, as it were. But it looks like these are school children who are being sent on a trip under Mrs. Tao's charity, as it were.
Not municipal officials.
Not officials.
There is a municipal official who will be looking after them while they're there, but
yes.
he or she will be as a chaperone, as it were.
So,
But
that's about one.
Indeed, it's not the group is primarily children.
Oh, okay. No, I thought it was City of Johannesburg officials. No. Okay, no, that's fine.
There may be one or two. There certainly is one official. There may be two who are there to look after the children.
Okay,
But
no,
the primary beneficiaries are the children.
Chair,
Okay.
but if you remember, the previous documents did speak about this being a sponsored initiative by the executive mayor's office. So there's still the nexus to City of Johannesburg, and it's still coming from the service provider who's busy bidding for work at City of Johannesburg. So I still maintain my view that it is highly inappropriate.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cheskelson.
Can we then go to page 525?
Mr. Cheskelson, we are at 4:15. Let's talk about the way forward. We may need to take a short adjournment. I can still continue, but just want to have an idea. Let's talk about
Chair,
how much is left and how much we need.
my sense, Chair, is that we've probably got about a half an hour, maybe 40 minutes left on the City of Johannesburg.
Yes.
There are then two other contracts unrelated to the City of Joburg, and in fact, quite severable in terms of their treatment.
Yes.
Unless you want us to try to push through, realistically, I think we would require at least 2.5 to 3 hours to get through those other two contracts.
Yes.
It may be more convenient to finish Johannesburg today, and then to look for another slot, if there is another slot available at any stage.
Well, from my point of view, depending on what your situation is and Mr. Powell's availability and his counsel, I can go on. I can still go on for some time.
Chair, I'm certainly able to go on myself. Can I suggest that we attempt to go on, and we maybe take stock after we finish the first of the second of those two contracts, when we'll have a clearer sense of...
Yeah, maybe we could go on up to about 6 o'clock or just before 6 o'clock and see how far we are. And at that stage, if, for example, all that's left is an hour, it may well be that is an hour or so. It may well be that we could look at seeing whether if Mr. Powell is available tomorrow, we could start an hour earlier, or we slot him in at some other time. But I have flexibility on my time, on my side, in terms of going on.
Thank you, Chair. Then I think we should at least try to complete.
Yes. Mr. Powell, how is your situation about continuing for some time?
No problem, Chair.
There's no problem. And your counsel, no problem?
No problem with me at all. I just wanted to make sure that Mr. Powell, we may just need a bit of time to rearrange flights, etc., but we'll do that.
Yes. Okay, maybe let's take a short break now, and then resume. We are at, 17 minutes past? If you are going to need to rearrange flights, you might need about 10 to 15 minutes?
Yep, 5 minutes is fine.
5 minutes would be fine. Okay, let's take a 10 minutes a break. We will resume just before past.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, we adjourn.
Can you carry on tomorrow morning? Yeah. Thank you. contracting of influential ambassadors, senior social media strategists, scheduling and strategic planning, PR and branding, and there are various other items. There's content development and real stuff on ground activations, and there's a figure of 1,250,000, and the grand total with that is 1,425, 1,425,000, Chair.
And that, of course, corresponds to the line on the cost of sales.
Correct.
Can I ask you to go up to page 679 to see how this ends up being paid by Mr. Bamfundi Mobile?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairperson. I'm making a note on my page 345 where to find the
680.
So yeah, I've made that note, but the earlier one for black and white, do you remember what page?
Black and white was 691.
691. Okay, thank you. Yes.
And if we look at 679, Chair, at the bottom, a Sibusiso Gamedi at nahana.biz emails the attached invoice that we've just looked at for 1,250,000. It gets sent to Andy Dakoba at Data and copied to Sifiso Zulu, and then this gets forwarded, and then it on 22 July 2016, and it goes to Obakeng Ansel Chikani, and also to Jeffrey Makubo, and that gets forwarded from Jeff Makubo to Patrick Makubedu on 22 July 2016. The underlying email seemed to refer to Dimension Data, but it looks like this was paid by Mfundi, not Didata.
That's certainly what, well, it went from Didata to Jeff Makubo and Obakeng Chikani. What went from Didata, it went from an individual at Didata. What went was the invoice.
Correct.
And eventually it was forwarded from Jeff Makubo to Patrick Makubedu, and later appeared as a cost of sale to Mfundi. The next item I would refer to is the next big item, which is an amount of 994,964 to Sherino Printers at 668. It's going page 668 is where the story of those payments is going to be told. And let's start with the covering email on 668 and the trail that it shows.
Certainly. So at the bottom of 668, Chair, there's an email from Joladi Matongo, this name we referred to earlier. She sends this email on 13 July 2016 to Jeff Makubo, and she sends it to a Gmail as well as a City of Johannesburg address, and copies a person by the name of Bruce Sorella, and the subject header is invoice 70718 from Sherino Printers CC, and she says, "Good day, attached are the invoices from Sherino Printers. These are for the 1,000 A5 leaflets per candidate that were printed and have already been delivered. They are also for the 300 posters per candidate and have been printed and delivered. Please process payment. The supplier is on my case. Regards, Joladi Matongo." That gets sent by Jeff Makubo on 21 July 2016. He forwards this to Patrick Makubedu and attaches the invoice and various supporting documents.
I see that the email address for Joladi Matongo is gauteng.gov.za.
correct, Chair. It looks like she is a government official.
Yes, not at Johannesburg City, or you don't know?
No, I think COJ has a different address. This could be a government department,
Yeah,
Chair.
okay, all right.
Chair, the title is GPGDED, which presumably refers to the department, Gauteng Provincial Government Department, maybe Economic Development.
Yes, okay.
Can you take the Chair to 669 and 670?
Certainly. 669 and 670 are invoices from Shirino Printers, invoice to the African National Congress, and the invoice contains the detail. Order number is just referred to as Joladi Matongo, and it refers to 40,500 A1 posters, reordered Joburg only 135 wards in brackets, 135 different kinds of A1 posters, in 300 of each printed in full color, an amount of 518,400. With VAT, the total amount there is 590,976 rand.
Can I just ask, Chair, can I ask you and Mr. Powell just to write that number down, 599.76?
$590,976.
Correct, Chair.
Okay.
And then, Mr. Powell, if you can go to 670.
670 is the second invoice from the same source, Shirino Printers CC, and it has the same order number as Joladi.
I'm sorry, Mr. I think your voice has gone down a little bit. It's late in the day.
Thanks, Chair.
So just start again.
I've gone closer to the mic, Chair.
Yes.
This is also addressed to the African National Congress.
And this is what page now?
670.
Okay, all right.
And it refers to 135,000. Description is A5 leaflets, Joburg only, 135 wards, 135 different kinds of A5 leaflets, being 1,000 of each printed in full color, and an amount on the right as 345,375 rand, and the VAT with the VAT inclusive number is 403,987 rand and 50 cents.
And then if you were to add those two numbers up, I wouldn't ask you to do that, but I'll tell you that the answer is 994,963.50. And they've rounded it up to 994,964, which you'll find on the table at page 345. So next to Shireno Printers, these two invoices reflect as 994,964.
Thank you, Mr. Chaskalson.
And the last example that I'd like to take you to is the item called Black Brain, an amount of 1,736,000. Can I ask you to go to page 683 for that? So Black Brain is 683. And if you can take the chair to what you see on page 683.
Certainly. Chair, on 683, we have an email from Jeff Makubo to Patrick Makabedu, and it refers to business request or bus request for PR councillors, and the narration is just yes, and it's sent from my iPhone, and that follows a question from Patrick Makabedu, just saying, so we must only pay 1,736,000, with Patrick Makabedu's name and cell number just below that, and that seemed to have referred to the preceding email on 22 July 2016, which was sent by Jeff Makubo to Patrick Makubedu, and it had a figure, it contained a table which referred to various suppliers. Black Brain appears on the table near the bottom of the page at the top, Chair, and it has an invoice number BB-ANC 280616 and an amount of 2,736,000. And what Mr. Makubedu seems to be asking is, so we must pay only 1,736,000, the Black Brain number? And the answer was yes.
Before you leave that page with the table, you'll see a number of other
Oh, yes, I see there's another email reference on 22 July 2016. When Jeff Makubo wrote to Patrick Makubedu, he wrote Black Brain, and I think it's just a typo, in 1,736,000, and in brackets it says, we have paid them 1 million from the ANC account, close brackets, otherwise all is fine.
And if I can take you to a different rendition of that email, or to the same email but in a different place with a table underneath at page 685. Do you see the 22 July email from Jeff Makubo? It's the Patrick Makubedu email saying, so we must pay only 1,736.
Yes.
In response to Black Brain is 1,736, we paid them 1 million, otherwise all fine.
Yes.
There is a table to which Mr. Makubo was responding.
Correct.
And so we've dealt with Black Brain, which on the table reflects as 2,736,000, but we understand now that one was already paid.
Correct.
The other items on the table, we've dealt with Sharino printers already.
Yes.
Taj, can I ask you to go back to page 344?
Certainly.
And you'll see a line item for Taj, which reflects total payments to Taj of, can you just give the chair the amount?
Certainly. Taj printers, 331,592, Chair.
I'm sorry, is that at 344 or 34?
This is at 345. It's the reconciliation,
that's the page that I
Chair.
took out.
And that document is just two
yes.
lines below the middle, the reference to Taj printers, Chair.
Yeah, you said we look at Taj, and what's the amount?
The amount for Taj is 331,592, Chair.
Yes, I can see that.
Now, these amounts, are, when you add them up, they come to an amount slightly less, but they may not have been the only amounts paid to Taj. Can you look at paper push?
Certainly. Paper push printers is reflected on the reconciliation as 185,820 Rand, Chair. And there's another amount just slightly higher up, just above the middle of the reconciliation. There's paper push printers, 64,980.
And can you look back at your table?
And going back to the table, we've got paper push 18 July 16, 64,980.
Okay. When you refer to the table, you refer to the table at what page?
Sorry, Chair, this is page 685.
665.
685.
685.
Chair, and if you look at that number, the 64980 is the number on the schedule for paper push printers, the higher reference just above the middle of the
yes.
page.
Yes, I can see that. Thank you.
Now, we haven't reconciled every one of these against the underlying invoices. I don't even know if those are to be found on EOH. But we have described the process.
Yes, no, one does get the picture.
The picture is amplified a little bit in those management accounts that came with the same undercover the same email from Mr. Barry. So if I can now ask if, Chair, if you can go to page 346, which is the management accounts.
Yes.
And there, Chair, we've seen this document before. We've noted that the revenue is that 16 million from COJ SAP Support Special, which is a sale made by Mfundi, and the costs of sales. Can I, if we go through, again, keeping that, reconciliation loose, can I ask, Mr. Powell, can you find, have you got a copy that has the left-hand column legible? Or not? Maybe it might be best to get volume 1 from behind you and just go to page 346 of volume 1.
Do I need to go to volume 1?
Chair, I think your document of 346 is a legible document, but Mr. Powell's may not be.
Yeah, no, it is legible. Well, maybe somebody should assist the witness.
Mr. Powell has his volume.
Yeah, okay.
Page 346.
346. Great.
Can you start by looking for the cost of sales in respect of black and white?
Yes, certainly. I see black and white about 7, 8 lines down.
And if you move across, what is the cost of that sale?
Just 1 second. $677,160.
And that, of course, reconciles with the number on the reconciliation. And which month is that sale reflected in?
It's reflected in July. Sorry, the numbers are slightly out of sync. So
it is the July column.
Yeah.
The column headings on the left-hand side of the column and the
perfect.
Numbers on the right-hand side of the column. If we go over the page to 347,
certainly,
we see Nahana Holdings that we've already looked at.
Yes.
And the cost of sale there?
1,425,000, Chair.
And I can tell you that that's also in the July column, although
Correct.
It's not on your...
Yes, I can see that, Chair.
And Taj Printers that we were looking at?
Certainly. Taj Printers is also in the same column, Chair, so it looks like also July, and an amount of 331,592.
Paper push printers?
Yeah,
Okay,
Paper push.
The challenge
Yeah.
I
Paper
have
push, Chair,
here is,
we've got also in that July column 64,980, which was that number in the table that we just looked at on one of the invoices.
I was saying, Mr. Chaskowson, the challenge here is that I have is to see which figure relates to which entity. I don't know whether
Chair, I've
with
just grabbed
bigger
the page.
spaces between them, it would be, and maybe with a line, with lines in between.
Chair, I'm using a page as my ruler to overcome that very difficulty.
Chair, what we'll do is we'll go back to the original spreadsheet, which I
Yes.
presume Mr. Powell will have.
Yes.
And we'll reprint it with
Yeah.
with columns with cells with borders, so
Yeah,
one
yeah.
can see the lines.
No, that's fine, because I think if you were to ask me, I would give you all the wrong numbers.
There is one, we've already talked about the cost of sales to Mololwani Consulting for 50,000. There is another line item that I want to identify to you. That is the cost of sales on page 346 for Flywell Travel. Flywell Travel.
Chair, for Flywell Travel, we have a figure of 89,000. There's the two, sorry, let me just make sure. There are two columns. The one is 207,025 Rand, and the second figure is 89,330. And
I want us to focus on that 89,330.
certainly,
Can I ask you to go to page 693?
Chair, at 693, there's an email from a Deepika Bana, and it is sent to Patrick Makabedu's Gmail address, and there's a Ayaz Ahmed CC'd, and it refers to subject invoice HOF and then a number of 0153043, and it refers to XL Flywell Travels Pretoria Pty Limited. And the narration is, "Dear Patrick, please see attached invoice for Jeff's travel. Kind regards, Deepika Bana, travel consultant." And it seems to come from Flywell.
Can I ask that you write down that invoice reference, HOF 153043? And then can you go to page 800?
Certainly. It's the very last page in the bundle, Chair. There's an invoice at page 800 from Flywell, XL Flywell Travel Pretoria Pty Limited, and it is addressed to Mfundi Mobile Networks. It's described as a computer-generated tax invoice, and it refers to air tickets, and the passenger name on the detail it refers to a ticket number, Makubo Molantoa Jeffrey Mr., and it appears to be JNB GRU BOG JFK, Johannesburg. And
Can I stop you there? Can you identify those airports for the chairperson?
Chair, we just did this check a couple of weeks ago, and we confirmed that this is a trip from Johannesburg to Sao Paulo in Brazil, followed by a connecting flight to Bogota in Colombia,
and a return from Bogota via JFK to Johannesburg, South Africa.
And the amount?
The amount is 80,000 Rand for the ticket totals, 80,350 Rand, and the number including VAT is 89,330 Rand, and that is the number that we just looked at on the schedule, Chair, related to the second expense for Flywell travel.
Under cost of sales?
Yes.
But I'm sorry, the invoice at page 800 is an invoice sent by Flywell Travel to Mfundi Mobile Networks, and it purports to relate to the traveling of Makubo, Mulwantua, Jeffrey, as reflected therein. That's what it reflects, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Chair, and again, the anomaly with this is it's reflected by Mfundi as a cost of sales on the SAP support for COJ.
Yes.
And again, the timing is really bad. Chair.
Yes. Okay.
Just to complete this loop, can we go to 694? And what do you see there?
Certainly, Chair. At 694, we have a Standard Bank payment receipt, beneficiary name Flywell Travel, and then the account number, it's with Absa Bank, and it's an Absa electronic settlement. The beneficiary reference LO8227, your reference Flywell, and the amount is 89,330,000. So this was clearly paid, and this is the proof of payment, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. That concludes our run through the chronology of the 2016 contract. We've now reached the end of our Johannesburg section of your evidence. Is there anything further in relation to the EOH Johannesburg, City of Johannesburg relationship that you would want to address to the chairperson?
Chair, if I may, I would like to point out that EOH have actually lost money, even though this appears to have been tainted by corruption with the concealed donations. The City of Johannesburg hasn't paid for these services, and EOH have paid away to all the third parties, including Mfundi. And so EOH is actually suffering. The new EOH with new management is actually struggling in not recovering this money. And they currently bleeding in terms of the project. And I think that is something Mr. Van Coller highlighted. So I think what it says, Chair, is that if people were crooked, they were not very efficient crooks.
Yes.
Can Chair, I think at this point we need to discuss the way forward, because we've now finished with Johannesburg.
How much was your estimate of how much more time would be necessary to finish his evidence?
Chair, because we're going on to a completely new set of relationships with a different cast of characters, my sense is that we're probably looking at least 3 hours, if I measure against how it went with Johannesburg. And conceptually, it may make sense to end at this point, and then we can take a decision on whether, and if so, when Mr. Powell returns.
Yes.
I must say, Chair, that there are a whole series of other investigations relating to EOH. We're just dealing with City of Johannesburg, and one in the NPA, one in the SAPS. If this is going to become a focus for the Commission, then it's many, many days. If it's not going to become a focus for the Commission, then breaking now makes as much sense as breaking later.
Yes. Well, what I was thinking is the more limited the time is needed for him to finish, the better it is to accommodate him on another day. If we are left with an hour, it's easier than if it's 4 hours. If it's 2 hours, it's easier than if it's 3 hours. So, but I'm quite happy to stop here. So your estimate in terms of what you wish to happen, to achieve, is that if we stop here, we probably need about 3 hours that we must find somewhere.
I think it would be 3 to 4 hours, Chair. I think we could probably do it in 3. The problem is that there will be something of a startup cost, because we have to talk about a new set of relationships, a new set of intermediaries who will appear in both of the next 2 investigations. And it may make sense to try and do them together so that one remembers who the parties are.
No, that's fine. I think then we should stop now. Then we will look at when we can slot him in to do the balance of to deal with the balance of the matters that you have in mind you should deal with.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Mr. Powell, we'll stop here. We'll stop here, and obviously we'll ask you to come back some other time, and so that you can deal with the other matters that Mr. Chaskowson has in mind you should deal with.
Certainly, Chair.
And then tomorrow, Mr. Chaskowson, we have one witness, that's Mr. Ramusubudi.
That's correct, Chair.
Yes. What's your estimate of how much time we need for him?
Chair, I think we will use the day tomorrow. I've had some, well, I don't want to, I would expect to use the day tomorrow.
A day should be fine.
A day should be fine. We won't need more than a day.
Oh, okay, all right. No, that's fine. I was asking because I think I have agreed with, I think, Mr. Kennedy, that I can have an evening session with one of his witnesses who will take about 2 hours. But I said to him, his witness might need to be here by 4 o'clock, but maybe we'll start at 5 or depending. And I was thinking whether there may be a need for us to start at 9 rather than 10 for purpose of your witness. But if you think if we start at 10, we should be able to be done by 4 or 5, then it should be fine.
No, I'm confident that we will.
Okay, no, that's fine. So we are going to then adjourn for the day. Thank you very much. We adjourn.
Thank you. Thanks, Matthew. My pile of files was getting messy. No, thanks, Matthew. Thank you.